A 23-year-old fly half has just done something that sounds almost impossible. He became the #1 rugby player in the world. Not top 5, not future star, #1. And the craziest part is that this didn't come out of nowhere. 1 year ago, Sacha Feinberg-Mngamazulu was sitting at number 47 on Rugby Pass's top 100 list. 12 months later, he has jumped all the way to #1, which is the biggest rise in the entire ranking and one of the most shocking jumps World Rugby has seen in years. That alone is enough to make people stop and stare, but the deeper you go, the more unbelievable it gets. And before we go deeper, if you love this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon, because what's coming next, you don't want to miss. Because this is not just a ranking built on hype or potential. This is a ranking backed by a season that forced the rugby world to take him seriously. Sacha led all Tier 1 players in tackle evasion with 57%, and he also led in dominant carry rate with 69%, which means he was consistently beating defenders, creating space, and breaking games open every time he touched the ball. Those are not ordinary fly half numbers. Those are the kind of numbers that make coaches nervous, defenders frustrated, and fans start asking whether they're watching the beginning of something historic. And then there's the try scoring. A fly half is supposed to run the team, steer the attack, make the right decisions, and keep everything calm under pressure. But Sacha didn't just do that. He went beyond it. He scored more tries than any other Springbok number 10 in history, surpassing the marks set by Morn Steyn and Handré Pollard. And that is what makes this season feel different from a normal breakout year. It is not just that he played well, it is that he rewrote expectations. And when a fly half starts scoring like a finisher while still controlling the match like a conductor, people begin reaching for big comparisons. That is exactly what happened here. Rugby Pass itself drew a line to Dan Carter, one of the greatest fly halves in rugby history, after Sacha's massive 37-point performance against Argentina, a match that included 3 tries, 8 conversions, and 2 penalties. That game was the moment the conversation really exploded. It was the kind of game that makes highlight reels, but more importantly, it made the rugby world sit up and think, wait, is this guy the real deal? It's the kind of game that lingers in people's minds because it has everything: control, confidence, calm under pressure, and the ability to completely take over a match without looking forced. But here is where the story becomes even shocking. Sacha didn't just rise to #1, he did it in a year when South Africa absolutely loaded the top of the list. The Springboks placed 6 players in the top 10 of Rugby Pass's 2025 rankings, which is dominance on a level that very few teams in any sport ever achieve. At the very top sits Sacha at #1, then Antoine Dupont at #2, Pieter-Steph du Toit at #3, Malcolm Marx at #4, Ardie Savea at #5, R.G. Snyman at #6, Thomas du Toit at #7, Louis Biel-Biari at #8, Eben Etzebeth at #9, and Finn Russell at #10. That is a brutal list for the rest of the rugby world. You look at it and realize this is not just South Africa having one superstar season. This is a nation producing elite players across the field, in different positions, with different roles, and still stacking the top of the global game. In total, the Springboks had 17 players in the top 100, more than any other nation. That matters because it shows the depth is real. This isn't a team surviving on one golden generation. This is a machine with layers. And in the middle of that machine is a 23-year-old fly half who is now being talked about like the future of rugby. What makes the whole thing even gripping is that Sacha himself is not acting like a superstar who has already arrived. He's actually downplayed the Dan Carter comparisons, saying it is far too early to place him in that same conversation and that he still has a long way to go. That kind of response only makes the story stronger because it shows the hype is rising around him faster than his own ego. He's not pretending he has already reached the summit. He is still building, still learning, still sharpening parts of his game like decision-making, game management, and goal-kicking. And that should worry the rest of the sport. Because if this is what he looks like before reaching his peak, then what happens when everything fully clicks? What happens when the experience catches up with the talent? What happens to a player this young, this explosive, and this complete gets even more consistent? That is why this ranking feels bigger than a simple list. It feels like a warning. It says South Africa is not going anywhere. It says the Springboks still own the top end of world rugby. It says the next few years could belong to a player who is only just getting started. And when you put it all together, the rise from number 47 to number 1, the 57% tackle evasion, the 69% dominant carry rate, the record-breaking tries, the 37-point masterclass, the Dan Carter comparisons, and the 6 Springboks in the top 10, it's hard not to feel like something massive is happening right in front of us. This isn't just a good season. This is the kind of season people remember years later when they talk about the moment a superstar stopped being a prospect and started becoming a problem for everyone else. And that is why the biggest question now is not whether Sacha deserves the number 1 spot. The real question is whether we are already watching the start of a decade-long reign.